Hey friends, it's me, the Ebony Otaku, the most well-rounded of nerds. Huh? I hit my light. I am going to be finishing up painting two new Aeronautica planes today. If you follow my channel, you know that me and my husband are huge into the Aeronet. It's a lot of fun. It's a dogfighting game. It is Warhammer. That's why it's appearing on Warhammer Wednesday. Um, but rather than building little armies of dudes and tanks, it's armies of planes. And with the group that we play Aeronautica with, right now we're doing narrative events, which I love a narrative, which means we're not just playing the game, we're playing a story. And then for this narrative, the last narrative we did, it was Rogue Trader, which was super fun. Good job, Doug. He's the one who arranges all of our narratives for Aeronautica. So there was the ending story, which there's shorts and stuff on my channel about it. There was an inquisitor who basically duped the orcs into doing his dirty work so he could bust into um, a Necron stronghold and get access to some technology, but it ended up all going south and Necrons came after him. But then like the Blood Angels came in to rescue everybody. Like it's a good time. This time we are doing an Imperial mission. And so I don't get to be Xenos or traitors this time. I am a loyalist and we are in the 40K world. And I've decided I'm Minkalisk. Although he said I can't have a named character. In my head, I'm Minkalisk. When we rolled for our abilities, our stats, I got a 6 in faith. So yeah, I'm Minkalesk. She's a faithful white shield. If I can't be Minkalesk, I'll be General Usakar E. Creed or Benedict, General Benedict. um, I'll be one in characters that's lesser known. And remember, there's more than one General Creed. There's General Usarkar Creed. I'm Usarkar Creed the first, and then there's Usarkar E Creed. And blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, so yeah, but I'm gonna finish these today. I base coated them in metallics. So this guy here, I threatened to do these in pink, but I had some colors just spoke to me and I had to use them. So this one is Fahrenheit from Turbo Dork. And I'm kind of really happy with the shine on that. Boom. There we go. I'm getting better at the lighting with this. I'm not a lighting pro. Even though I was a theater major, lighting was not like my big thing. And then this guy here, this is a really interesting shift. In the bottle, it's white. This one's a Vallejo. The shifters from Vallejo are really cool. A lot of these kind of pastel ones, they look white in the bottle, but they're not. If you look in the light, you can see some of the reflection of the pigment. The pigment's mixed into a suspension fluid, and then you can finally see the pigment when you actually use it on the plane. So what I'm going to be doing now is applying some washes and then doing a little dry brushing. Nothing super difficult here. It's an easy way to get to where you want to be. So these I'm actually going to put over in my box that is for airbrush paints. I finally had to split my paints out between airbrushing and just regular brushing because I needed to. Once I'm all mixed together, if that's not what I'm doing at that moment, then it was kind of making it a little higgledy-piggledy, and I didn't enjoy it. So now I must go about picking contrast for each of these. So Vulpus Pink will not be one of my contrasts. So I've started learning better how contrast and stuff are supposed to be used. I was really winging it when I first started learning to paint. Like really winging it. Like I'm not sure that I did anything right in the beginning. Not gonna lie, not gonna lie. I'm pulling out my other little bitty paint box because it has colors I might want to use for dry brushing. It has another wash in here. Leviathan contrast. Too dark, too dark, too dark. You gotta pick through your paints to know which one you want to use. And what's gonna dry brush and all that kind of good stuff. So I think watch the colors I want have already been up here. So for this guy, he's bluey and purpley. So I'm probably gonna do is combine the Azurman blue and the Luxion purple for the recess in this and turn it more into a wash than a contrast. Yeah, I've learned how to do that now. And this guy, I think, see, that's an air, and I don't want to use that. I do have a gold contrast somewhere. It's a matter of where is it. We've been going back and forth painting in different places, just enjoying time. So Or maybe I don't have a golden contrast. I might have to reach over into my husband's contrast stack and use one of his or make one. Here, that's fine. That's why we paint together. Even when we move our gaming stuff into the next room, we're still going to paint together. He's going to build us a painting table in his new workshop, which is so close. We're just waiting on like the last certificate to say, okay, you can go in there and do all you want, y'all. Let me tell you, you wanna have a good time. Build something. Picking a contrast is hard. I feel like the Azurman blue, this shifts between like a green and a blue. So I'm thinking the Azurman blue is actually what I'm looking for. So I'm actually gonna put the purple back and put this guy back as well. So I need to shake this. Looking behind me, make sure my husband's computer is locked. I keep my paint shaker on the floor because it will shake the whole table. You hear it? We are shooken. If you don't have a paint shaker, get one. My sister-in-law got me this for Christmas for 2024, and it's like the best darn thing ever. So we're going to start contrasting. I'm going to do it on the bottom first. And with this one, I really love the way that these paints shine. So for like my dry brushing, I'm really going to be concentrating on getting highlights on the guns, like the tail pieces, like just stuff that needs to stick out. These don't need to be so detailed that I go crazy about it. But let me see where I want contrast to live. I'm going to start with the engine compartment because I feel like that is a place where contrast would do a lot of good. And I used to just wash an entire piece in contrast, but I've learned that I don't have to do that to get the effect that I want. Like you might use a different contrast in different parts of your project just to give overall different effects. So, Sammy, are you good? My dog's in here. He has a bed in every room because of course he does. What I just did was wipe off a little bit of the excess on my paper towel here. But what are you doing? Are you licking your hot Sam? Pookums. Leave it alone. His hotspot's finally healing. But he likes to pick at it and no. Okay. So I'm testing it on a small area. What did I just say? Sorry. Having a dog is like having a child that you love more. I'm sorry, that was rude. But I'm just doing a little bit in some engine part. He has a cone and he has a pair of pajamas. I got him to keep him from licking it because he's been on antibiotics. We've done the steroids. It's been fine. But he's, you're going to pick, you got a scab. You're going to pick it. That's what he does. And if he doesn't stop that, it's not going to heal completely. He won't quit picking at it. You want me to put you in the cone? I have his pajamas right here. He's going back at them. He's getting a walk in a little while because tonight is Aeronautica, which is why I want to go ahead and get this done to the way that I want it. But yeah, I'm kind of liking this because I'm going to go back over the top with some metallic with a kind of a green mix into it to kind of make sure it matches what I'm doing here. I really like these metallic paints to shine. They are such fantastic paints. I don't like to cover them up too much, you know, but just a couple of spots for some visual interest. Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. Yeah, I think I'm going to dry brush the silver over it. And these might not get much in the way of extra colors like I usually do because, I mean, it's a very basic design, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with basic. But I really like the metallic paints to shine through. I use a lot of metallics, like a lot. This is there a there's not a shaker in here. This is lead belcher base. I use a lot of it. When I was doing my word bearers, of course, their main color is the word bearers red. Actually, I can't get to them right now. Or can I? If I put this down. We are getting ready at the time of filming this. We have a 30K tournament this weekend. So both of us will have finished 3,000 point armies this week, which is kind of a big accomplishment. But yeah, this is one of my bears of the word. And you can see his base color, of course, is Word Bearer's red. But a lot of the silver I did in lead belcher base and lead belcher air. So These, I was stupid. There's no dry brushing on this. Every single detail is hand painted. Like, of course, it's all hand painted, but I mean, like, I didn't use fast techniques. I just individually painted every single everything. Cause she's crazy. All right, so I'm going to drop a mixie ball in here. The shaker that I got for Christmas came with like 1,000 of these. Yay. I did something real dumb while I was getting ready for this. So my husband put me a little thing together for my magnet for this guy. Pew. I was like, oh, I'll do the other one. I did it backwards. It chases the magnet away. I'm so mad. I'll have to do another stick. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. All right, let's shake this one. Yeah, all right. Lead belcher base is shaken. So see, look, just a little bit in the recesses there. Now I'm going to dry brush. I have actual dry brushes. Um, I bought my husband an Artist Opus brush set for this past Christmas. He really wanted those brushes, and they apparently have some of the nicest dry brushes that you can get. So I'm going to have to check those out for myself at some point. But I'm just going lightly up. Oh, I have a dry brush palette, don't I? That I put somewhere and I don't know where it is. What? It's in my backpack that's over there. I printed a dry brush palette with my 3D printer. So just brushy, brushy. Just lightly over. Not too much. Just we want our bits to pop. That looks good. It's amazing what you can learn if you just stick to it. Like, well, that's true of anything. Because when I first started painting, seriously, like I've always painted stuff. Like when I was a kid, I painted like ceramic houses and like anime characters. I painted a couple of pieces as gifts for people. Um, Nature things like wolves, eagles, that kind of thing. I've always painted stuff. Um, and I've talked about it before. I failed miserably at trying to paint Warhammer when I first started the hobby as a teenager. So I was just a lore girl, and that's all it was. But now that I've picked up painting seriously in the past year, I am always shocked every time I learn a new technique at what I'm able to do now versus what I could do then. Like if you just stick to it, you will be so surprised at how quickly you'll improve. You good now? Yes. Mommy's precious. Yes, you are. He's my baby. But like it's amazing how just a little bit of highlighting with a different paint can make such a difference. Like I'm already just flabbergasted at what I've learned, and I have a lot of people in my own gaming community who are very good teachers who want to see more people, participate. So they offer help, they offer encouragement, and that's what you should do. Create the environment. I mean, I'm beating a dead horse here. I know I say it a lot, but create the environment you want to see. If you want more people to join in your reindeer games, create an environment where people want to be there. And that does take skill too. Socializing is not natural to everybody. I am a extroverted extrovert who extroverts the extroverts. Like I wear extroverts out. I'm so extroverted. Um, this is coming along nicely. Yeah, just a little bit of contrasting. Let's get the cockpit. Cockpit definitely needs this kind of outlined on. But I've learned that it's someone who is social and likes being around people that I have to make myself someone that people want to be around. Being social comes naturally to me. It has taken education, practice, years of maturity to make sure that I use my powers of persuasion and conviviality the right way. And that's okay. We're all different. Um, don't give yourself, goals that you can't hit because then that's depressing. Just one step at a time. Don't be too hard on yourself. You can't learn every single technique at once. Like I practice individual techniques, one at a time. I don't try to learn a whole new thing, a bunch of new things at once on a project. I let myself just kind of take a project and focus on something new. Like I was really working on my airbrush skills for a while. I worked on my dry brush skills on things for a while. Just how do I, and now I'm getting to the point where I can combine different skills. I have airbrush, I contrast, I dry brush. Like, it's a build up of skills. So give yourself grace, give yourself time. I had that conversation with my Taekwondo class this past week, about just, really giving yourself and everyone that you practice and, do certain hobbies with, give everyone grace. Nobody's perfect. It just takes time. Oh my God, you didn't do or say that thing correctly. Yeah, and the world will continue. It's fine. It's totally fine. Good times. It's kind of interesting when I'm recording like this because no one's home right now. Um, I work from home and it's after working hours. My husband has a commute to get home, and my son, this semester of college, has evening classes. So I get a couple hours a day where I'm just the only one here with me and the dog. So that is totally fine. I'm kind of happy about this. Like there was a time where instead of using the airbrush to base coat a plane like this, I would have just which I would have hand painted it. Which there's nothing wrong with that, and that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with doing it a different way if you get the result you want. Um, as you learn different techniques, employ them as it works for you. Don't let everybody be like, "Well, you should have done it this way." No, you should do it the way that you know how to do it. And when you're ready to do a different technique, then do a different technique. It's painting. Like nobody's life is depending on what you're doing here. Right? So you should enjoy it. If you're not enjoying your hobby, you're doing it wrong. I mean that. If you don't enjoy it, you're doing it incorrectly, or you should be doing something else. Just little highlights here and there on the raised portions. Just what a difference. I really want the star to be the metallics. Metallics are so gorgeous. I hate covering them up, but I need just a little bit of, contrast here. Because the contrast actually is what makes it pop even more. If it's all just one color, it doesn't look as vibrant as it could. You can't respect um, the color as much if it's unicolored. Which I've got a couple of other Eldar ships that I metallic that I really like it so much that I haven't done any kind of surfacing on them other than their base coat. I might eventually, but they're so pretty. I don't want to. All right, that looks good. Now I'm gonna go to my favorite gold. Is that it? Gehenna's gold. Okay, there's no mixie bowl in this one. As I get to them, I put mixie bowls in them. I love me a Gehenna gold. It's a great paint. Which Gehenna is going to go on the orange one, not this guy here. I'm going to set him to the side and let this coat of dry brush dry. And now we're going to do some dry brushing on this one. With Gehenna's gold. The gold of Gehenna. Y'all know Gehenna is another name for hell, right? I was teaching, this was years and years ago. These kids are grown now. A children's church class, and the subject of hell came up. I didn't bring it up. They did. Y'all be surprised what kids be talking about. I'm over here trying to David some Goliath, and they just like, "What is hell?" And I'm like, "Ask your mother." But one little girl said, "I don't like the name hell." And I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of a rough word, isn't it?" I was like, "Well, you can also say Sheol or Gehenna, same thing." And they were like, "Gehenna." And she proceeded to go upstairs after service and tell her mother she learned a new word for hell. Good day. Kids. I mean, I've always been one as someone who teaches kids, and I've taught kids for a long time. You can't answer every question a kid asks because sometimes they be asking stuff and it's like, ask your mother. Don't ask me. Don't get me in trouble. But when kids have questions and you're in an environment where it's okay to answer them, finding the answer that will satisfy a kid is kind of the key. Like when kids ask really weird questions, where do babies come from? Most of the time kids are asking not about the biological process. They are one because they don't know there's a biological process. I don't have a firm reference for that. What they're really asking is where they were born. You were born in North Dakota, in Sioux Falls. That's what they want to know. You know, and some kids are smart enough to want to know, the deep deets. But, giving kids answers that satisfy them is something I've always try to do. I don't like to patronize kids. Um, I always try to respect, the only way we learn is by our curiosity being answered, right? So I try to answer children's curiosity in the best way that I can. Oh, these gold highlights are perfect. Oh, yes. Oh, the gold on here is insane. I'm kind of digging it. Oh, yeah. Yep, this is the right choice. One thing I do like about these planes is the raised pieces are really raised, so it makes dry brushing actually easier. Because the cool thing about dry brushing is when you've got this base coat already down, it's kind of just lightly adding that detail over it. But notice how I'm being really light, really careful, and the reason I'm doing that is so the paint only goes on certain bits of the model. So now, like, I'm outlining the wings with a little bit of gold. I'm going to outline these guns with some gold. Side guns. I'm excited to start the new adventure tonight. I don't think we're playing the whole adventure tonight, because we're just beginning and we're getting our cues of what we're doing and stuff, and like the details of the mission. So it's a whole thing, which I'm super excited about. It is a whole thing, and it is it's another way to spend time with cool people. Our Aeronautica group is a lot of fun. When we do my husband's birthday party, we're hosting it. By the time this video comes out, his party would have passed. But we're hosting it at one of our favorite hobby shops, and we basically have commandeered the entire place. We're gonna have a couple of tables with wargaming going, Aeronautica or 30K or OPRs, just the games my husband likes. Most likely OPR because that's his favorite. It's his day, not my day. We're gonna have Magic going in a room, Magic the Gathering. We're going to have some figures printed so the kids can do paints if they want to. There's a lot of board games at the shop so they can, play board games. So, yeah, it's going to be a good day. But a lot of our people we've met who do gaming and stuff with us are going to be there. It's just going to be a fun day of just, hanging out, gaming, eating, being a nuisance. No, not being a nuisance, but we are basically taking over the shop. So, yeah, just this little bit of gold highlighting is making just such a difference. So I'm going to outline the wings just a little bit with the dry brushing gold. I'm going to do a different color on the underguns. Actually, I'm going to do a double dry brush on these. So I'm going to start with the gold and I'm going to go back with a little bit of a contrasting dry brush to give it some more depth and character. Yeah, happy with this. This is looking good. Just get out there and learn the techniques. What can I say? Practice, practice, practice. That is the only way to learn any of this, is to practice. And the reason I've got it right under the light right here is I'm looking where the light shines, and that's kind of where I'm adding this dry brush contrasting gold, because then it's going to shine there, look really good. I'm trying to decide if I want to use this gold on this guy, because I feel like it'll look really good, but I'll decide in a minute. But I'm just getting these high points where the light is hitting it really good. The next thing I want to start really learning is color theory. My husband's really good at color theory. We have very different approaches to painting. I tried to paint some orcs for him. I failed miserably because I've been painting, either anime characters, so I'm just copying basically how they look, or I've been painting, armor and metal. I don't do a lot of, in Warhammer at least, I don't do a lot of organic painting. Nothing that I paint is, of flesh. Um, my gnomes and stuff come out really good, but I don't even paint those in real flesh tones. They're like ghostly, pastel-y fantasy colors. And he's really good at building up skin tone on his orcs, and I thought I knew what I was doing, and I didn't. And then he showed me how, like, here it is. I started with his orcs. I wanted to build up to the green, so I thought I could put, like, I started with dark flesh from Pro Acryl, that color, which is actually, is it this one? Where's my dark flesh? No, that's dark plum. There it is. This is my painting to take it back from him. But this color, and so what I wanted to do was build up from that so that would be kind of like the base color, and then you'd see that green shining through. And I tried to go from that to like yellow to green, and it just wasn't working. I was like, what did I do wrong? And so what he did is we use these little pop sockets for colors that we pour. These hack, by the way, because when it dries, you just pop out the paint. But he started with the base color in here, and then he took a bit of the base color and added it to like a next shade up mix, next shade up mix, next shade up mix. And that's how he built up the skin layers to then he could get to the yellow to get to the green. And I was like, oh. So I think color theory is going to be the next thing that I spend time really trying to learn. Um, Fun story, when I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go to college, I thought art school would be easy. It's not. But I actually applied to an art college, and almost got in. I'm so glad I didn't make that decision because I'm not an artist, like at all. I'm just goofing around. I know people who are actual artists. I'm not an artist. Like people ask me about my job all the time. They're like, "Well, how do you do that?" It's because I was made to do this. I'm a born teacher. I'm a born student. People who are artists are born artists. That's why they can do that. So find your zone of genius and stay there. Doesn't mean you can't dabble and stuff and have fun. Like this is something I do for fun. I would never do this professionally. Um, One, I don't like timelines when it comes to my painting. I'm on my timeline, not your timeline. um, but I have respect for people who can do this kind of thing professionally. Like every shop that we go to has professional painters, and I'm just amazed, not just how quickly they can paint, but the quality of the work. So, and if anybody out there doesn't think being an artist is a real job, it is. Because let me tell you what these shops be charging for. The dog is snoring like he has a job. What these shops charge for custom paint jobs on these figures and building them. Because some people don't have time to paint an army, so they'll pay to have their army built. More power to you. I think what this one will need to get is the Agrax Earth Shade. Yeah, because this is like a golden metallic thing I've got going, and Agrax really makes gold pop. So it'll get Agraxed last. Where's Agrax? Here it is. Boom. That's a piece of putty that holds this on top when I'm. Just remember, the shades will save your life. Will save any paint job. I'm just deciding if there's any other highlighted spots. But yeah, all that to say, we have a good painting community. I love these stream of consciousness videos because who knows what I'm going to talk about or what I'm going to say. But it feels good to be getting stuff done. Excuse me. He just went, oh. All right, I'm going to let that dry. This one should be dry enough for me to do the next bit. I can't believe I have to do another magnetic stick. I'm so goofy. So this is going to go lightly on top. Yep. This was needed. This was necessary. That blue wash I put under there looks good, but I don't want it to be so bright that it overpowers the rest of the paint. So there we go. Yeah, that is just enough contrasting color. So, I mean, I'm only going to spend, 30, 40 minutes or so doing this, but, to get a paint job that is fieldable and that you're happy with, it shouldn't have to take you forever. That first set of word bearers, I'm very proud of them. They look great. They took me far too long. 3 months. It took me 3 months to paint those. Now I can knock out 10 Space Marines in a week. And that's just, doing it after work. So like an hour a day maybe. So like 5, 6 hours a week, I can knock out a squad of 10 or a bunch of tanks. So that's a vast improvement over how I was painting before. I want these guns to have some goldness to them to show them off so that they're easy to see. Yeah, I like that. This is not going to get a shade on it because the paint is so bright, a shade would just really dull the paint. And I don't want that. I really love the transition of this color, and I don't want to screw it up. And I think I'm going to give the cockpit just a little gold tinge to it. Yeah, that looks good. I'm happy with that. But I like to do videos like this as real time as I can. Now, if I go and say something stupid, I'm going to go back and edit it out. But just to show people how long it takes. So when I base coated these, when I airbrush base coated them, that took me like all of 3 minutes. I've gotten really good at breaking my airbrush apart, cleaning it, and then going on to the next. that just getting the airbrush between paints is its own set of skills. And knowing what size nozzle to use for what kind of paint job you're doing, that is its own skill set. Just real talk. So don't feel bad if your airbrushing is not going the way you wanted it to initially. It didn't for me either. We got that airbrush and then I didn't touch it for almost a year. And now that I have become comfortable with it, it's one of my favorite tools. But now I like using a combination. I can't say that I like one set of techniques over another. It depends on what you're doing, you know? That's why there's more than one tool to build a house, you know? Depends on the job. That's the tool that you get. So, the last thing I want to do is give the tail some gold highlighting. I think I might do a little bit of gold edge highlighting on the wings on this one as well. But the agrax will be the last for this, and I'll have this painted. And what I'm going to do after this is, since we're going up to the shop tonight, is I'm probably going to just go ahead and make dinner for my family and take the dog out for a constitutional. I can't say the word. He'll jump up out of his sleep. And then we'll have that ready for when we get home. It's so cold. I'm filming this in January, and like it gets cold in December down here in the South. But our threat of winter weather usually doesn't come until January and February. Um, and let me tell you, it's a light switch. It's a different kind of cold. December cold and January cold, those are not the same cold. Um, it just, this January cold hit different. It started snowing a bit today. I was just like, oh God. You know, like in the South, it doesn't snow. Yes, it does. Our problem we have here with weather is it doesn't do it often. So when it does happen, it sucks. Especially if you live in the part of the country that I do where everything's a hill. So the issue is not snow. Anyone can drive in snow. Snow is not hard to drive in. Ice, though, is our problem. We get ice. So what will happen is during the day, it'll be in the 30s and the precipitation will fall. And at night, it'll go down to 2 degrees. Like, wait, you live in the South? Yeah, south of Kentucky, not South America. And the bottom half of South America is, winter all the time. It's getting down there toward the Arctic. But yeah, it's like I tell people, I live in the South. I was like, no, south of Kentucky, not south of the Rio Grande. So since we don't have as much equipment here, and plus the salt and stuff doesn't work after a certain temperature, like once it gets down to the teens, the salt and brine don't matter anymore. So we all just, we go stock up and we're home for 1 or 2 weeks because you can't, driving on ice is very dangerous. And we'll have people coming from other parts of the countries who are driving through who think, oh, you weak Southerners, you can't deal with snow. No, we can deal with snow. We can't deal with ice. And because all of our roads do this, just stay home. Let the emergency services and people who have critical jobs get to where they need to go, because if we're out of the way, they have a better chance of making it. Of all of us who don't have to be out there, and that's why we all rush to the grocery store and stock up. It's because it's like, I'm going to be out of the way so that people who have to be out there can be out there safely without me being part of the confusion. But that's just, it's just how it is here. But that January, all that to say, this January cold, it's different. But, we all have weather we're dealing with in different parts of the country. Like we deal with tornadoes down here too. That's a big deal. Out west they got the fires and floods all the time. Up north, the snow be dumping to the point you can't see out your house. So we all have interesting weather that we're dealing with in one form or another. I guess we all just kind of get used to it the way it is. But the cool thing is, the cold thing is, when it does get like that, that's just an opportunity to stay in and do hobbies for me. So, since I'm the keeper of the pantry and stuff, I make sure we have what we need so that I can basically make anything. We always keep enough charcoal to run the grills, keep enough propane to run the propane grill and the Blackstone, and we're set for the season. You know, and we only usually get trapped in our homes like 1 or 2 weeks a year, trapped. It doesn't last for very long, just long enough for everyone to go stir crazy and start hating each other, basically. Which is good, but we don't have generous snowplow equipment and stuff like that down here because it doesn't last long enough to make the investment. We stay home. We buy milk, eggs, bread. Everyone's out there making French toast, and we stay home. I buy ingredients because I love to cook. Like one year when we got snowed in, I learned how to make pickles and bread that year. Not pickle bread, but pickles, comma, and bread. So that was really fun. Oh, that's lovely. What do you think? I'm kind of happy. See, just a little bit. Didn't take much for this to look this way. I am so happy with that. I don't think I'm going to do anything else to it. This guy, though, is going to get his Agrax. Like, he's nicely highlighted, but the Agrax is really going to make it pop. So we're going to put the dry brush in the water, and that's going to be fun to clean. I'm going to leave it in the water till I get home. I beat those dry brushes up so bad. Wrong one. But what's really great is, it's an opportunity when the weather gets weird. I'm going to learn to do something new. I've learned how to make pasta when I got snowed in. Bread, pasta, pickling. It's when I learned to make kimchi. I went and pre-bought all the ingredients, and I was just like, well, I'm going to learn to make kimchi since we're snowed in. I'm going to start with the bottom to make sure I like the way this looks. Let me shake up the Agrax. So yeah, just make use of the time. Find something to do. See if anybody texts me. Nope, nobody wants me. No, I shook the paint shaker. My dog's like, he's like, what are you doing? I don't know what it is about Agrax and golden tones, but it really makes golden tones pop just beautifully. Oh yeah, that looks good. And just I'm wiping it over very lightly. I don't want it on there thick. I just want it to enhance the gold. So I'm interested to see what I'm going to learn this year. I learned how to make pizza. Yeah, if you come to my house for dinner, there's no food here. It's only ingredients. Because I make when I cook about 80% from scratch. I'm not going to say I make everything from scratch because I don't mind using, a cheat meal. If I don't feel like cooking, my husband will either grill or order out for us. But I like to cook because then I have control over what I'm eating. I know exactly, portion size and all that kind of stuff. And I like to cook. Cooking is my love language. My love language is here, food. For my husband's birthday, I'm doing last year for him. I made lasagna, homemade because that's what he wanted, and so I'll be making it again. But when I say I make homemade lasagna, I mean every bit of that is from scratch. The sauce, all of it. A friend of mine from back in the day is Italian. He taught me how to make um, really good sauce. Stick of butter at the end. But how to do it from scratch, how to pick out the right tomatoes, all that kind of good stuff. So I really appreciate that. But that is my sauce recipe. The hard part is sometimes finding the best garlic. You usually have to go to the Asian grocery store to get really good garlic, especially fresh. When you're making a sauce, if get fresh garlic. I will cheat and use other versions of garlic if I'm being lazy. But when it comes to an important meal like that, I'm going to do it the right way. I will make the mozzarella myself. That's going to go in there. Yeah, I'm going to make the mozzarella. Now, did I milk the cow? No, but I'm going to go, get some good milk and make cheese. Yeah, it's a whole thing when I cook, and I enjoy it. Someone just text me. Text of when the next mission meetings are. One is going to be this weekend, and another one in a couple of weeks. Which this weekend is it's probably gonna snow, so if it does, I will not be going up there because it's a drive. I won't know what the roads are like between here and there. It's a 90-minute drive, so I will be safe. Oh my goodness, look what the Agrax did. Get closer to the camera. I'm gonna turn this light down. There we go. Now you can see it. That's pretty great, huh? Agrax. So I'm gonna let this guy dry, and I think I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know what Agrax would do to this plane. I want to do it because it's got some gold in it, but I don't know what it's going to do. Will I regret this? Let me find out. I'm going to do it on the fuselage first. Oh! Okay. Wait a minute. Agrax is helping. We're going to Agrax this one too. Okay. That's the last bit we need is a little Agrax. All right. The other weekend is my husband's birthday that they're going to do mission meetings. So I'd obviously have to be here for my husband's birthday, so I probably won't get to go in January, but it happens. I'll go on the not mission days and teach class. if it's not snowing. That's one thing about moving. I'm lucky enough that I live close enough to um, where I used to live that it's no thing to go up there on the weekend. Because I mean, if you ain't lived in Nashville, oh my god, or any big metropolitan city, the traffic. I did not leave where I used to live, and I didn't live far, far away. Like it was across town. I would have to go from like the Laverne, Antioch area of Nashville over to Bellevue for Taekwondo, which is like 20 miles. It's not that far. It's not that big a deal. But if I left at the wrong time of day, if I wanted to go to the 5 o'clock class, I would have to pack up my work laptop and leave at 3 and then go sit and work somewhere to get over there in 30 minutes before everybody got off work. Because once everyone got off work, oh God, if I left at 4 to go to that class, I would make it at 6. So I was already sitting in the car for a couple hours to go to class because they'd be like, "How can you drive up there?" Like I was already sitting in the car that long. Now I do it and the traffic's moving and it's once a week, so it's fun. I love my Saturday class. The Saturday class is really fun. I get to teach people a lot of extra stuff because I've been there for so long. There's only a few black belts at our school now because so many people have moved and gone other places. We don't have as many senior black belts as we used to. And I can't even believe I am a senior black belt, honestly. Like when I first started, I would look at the wall of black belts at testing, like, oh my God, they're so cool. And I still think that. I just don't sometimes recognize that I'm one of them. But because I've been there so long, I've learned a lot from our instructors. So there's a lot of just nuanced things I get to pass on. And it's so fun when people, their first Saturday, their first time at class is on a Saturday, because then I get to be the first black belt there that they meet. But I really enjoy it. Oh, these look great. Oh, okay. Look at that. Gorgeous. And here's the other one, Agrax. That's it. They're done. 40 minutes. And half of that was me talking. So I did this video to show that you don't have to get super complex to get a look that you like. You can get as complex as you want to. That's up to you. That's between you and the Lord. But for me, I like being able to, for stuff like this, just to get it to where I'm like, yeah, I want to feel that. Now what I have to do is find another stick since I glued a magnet on the wrong end, which I have some somewhere, and I'm probably not going to search for those on camera because I think I'm going to have to jostle around to find it. But I hope you enjoyed this little just a chitty chat and paint. This is my process. This is what I do. This is where I sit and paint all the time. Not going to try to use my husband's chair again because my head was like way up there. Just it didn't work. But as always, one, thank you for being here, and two, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I hopefully will see you in the next one.